Next, what we're going to learn is about shortcuts in the command line interface. I'm going to jump on the router, and I'm going to want to go into the privilege exec mode. Instead of typing out enable to get into the privilege exec mode, we don't have to type out the whole thing. In fact, all we need to do is type out en. And at this point in time, we can do one of two things. We can either hit tab and it will automatically type in the rest of it for us and hit enter, or all we have to do is type in en and hit enter, and we'll go into the privilege exec mode. So why is this the case? Why do we see that? Let's jump in there and do a question mark in the user exec mode and take a look at this. We can see that there's two commands that start with E. And so if I were to type in an E at this point in time, it wouldn't know which command I'm talking about. But a en is specific only to enable. And so that's all I need to do to enter into this mode. So I'm going to hit en, enter, and now I'm in the privilege exec mode. Same thing with configure terminal. I can type all of that out to get into my global config mode. Or if I hit the question mark, I can see that con is specific to two commands, but conf is only specific to this one command. And so all I really need to do is conf, and it knows then I'm talking about configure. If I hit a question mark, it'll give me my options for the configure command, and the only option I have is configure terminal. And so it would know that I want to configure terminal just by putting a T at the end. And then when I hit conf T, it knows that I want to go into the global config. A couple other commands that can help us out, or shortcuts that can help us out, is the up and down arrows. If I press the up arrow, it will go through all the commands that I've typed in here recently. And so I can see all of the commands. So that's the up and down arrow, and it'll go through the history, which can be very valuable. If I type in a show, let's do a running -config and hit enter, it shows me quite a bit of data that's coming from that running config. In fact, so much so that I can't display all in one window here. And so it's given me this more. At this point in time, I have two options. I can hit enter to scroll down slowly, or I can hit the space bar to go page by page. So when I'm scrolling through that information, there's a couple options there. If I am in something like the global config mode, so I'm going to get in there, or even if I'm in something like the line console 0 and I'm configuring that, if I want to get back to my privilege exec mode, all I need to do is hit Control Z and it'll actually bring me back to my privilege exec mode. So that's another thing that can save me quite a bit of time. And the final thing that I'm going to cover, there's obviously a lot of shortcuts, but the final shortcut I'm going to cover is sometimes if you mistype something, like let's say you want to log out and you mistype it, and you hit enter, it goes into this trying to find the domain server and so on and so forth. You've got to sit there and wait. So if you ever want to terminate a process that's happening and get out of it, you can hit the Control-Shift-6 and it'll break out of it. Same thing if you accidentally ping something that you didn't intend to ping, like let's say you're pinging 192.168.0.1 and you hit enter and you realize, well, I don't even have anything set up at that point in time. The Control-Shift-6 will break out of that process. So now you can continue on to configure whatever you need to configure to make that happen. So those are a few tips that can help you out with these shortcuts. Like I say, there's many shortcuts out there, but these are a few of the ones that I find help me out the most.